I hope that you are having a wonderful day. Well, it is still raining here, and it's raining harder today than I think it's rained all week. Before it started raining, I did come out, and now it's pouring buckets, so I'm going to stay out here and do some crafting. And I think that what I'm going to do is attempt to craft away the rain and bring in spring. So I've got this lovely lime green striped paper, and I think that I'm going to make a bucket style tote. So let's get started on making it. I am going to make this tote. I'm starting with my chipboard, and as you can see, one piece of the chipboard has been cut at an angle, the other piece has not. So I will cut that with you guys and show you how I do it. But the bag, when finished, will measure 8 inches high and be approximately 8 inches across at the bottom, but flare out to 9 inches across at the top. So I've already trimmed down one of these pieces at an angle, and I'll show you exactly how you can do this if you don't want to try cutting it in your cutter at an angle. So basically all I'm doing is laying the piece down that I cut so that the ends to end are matching. And then as you can see, I've got the angles coming in on both sides. So I'll just take my pen and come in and mark where my angles are. So I'm basically just tracing my pattern. And this is what I'm left with. So now I can come back with my X-Acto knife, or now that you've got the points traced out, you can actually align this in your cutter and just do trimming that way. So I am placing this down, and because I'm using my X-Acto knife, I'll have to make a couple of passes. And then I can go over to the other side and do the same thing. So now I've got 2 pieces like this, and this is how they'll sit. And then I've got a base that is 4 inches because I want this to be a fairly deep bag. And so everything will be laid out like this. And in order for me to get this laid out on my lime paper, I will need to join these 2 pieces of paper together. And I am going to do that using glue. And this paper is from the Paper Studio, as you can see. And I always buy it when it's on sale, so this was 50% off, so it was basically 30 cents a sheet. And I'm just going to be fairly generous with my glue. To make sure my stripes are going in the right direction, and they are. And then I'm just going to roll it along the paper just a little bit so that I can get the glue stuck to both pieces. So now what I can do is place the tape on my base and place my base down. And I'm using a 1-inch wide tape from scrappal.com. And information on this tape will also be in the description box. I am going to straighten out my paper just a little bit. And now I'll place this down. And what I want to make sure is that the outer seam where I join these two is on the bottom of this base. And that way it's not showing on my bag. So I'll get that stuck down, come back in and just smooth that out. I am going to place tape on these, remove the tape, and then I'll come back and show you guys how I'll be placing these. So I'll be back in a few. Alrighty guys, so I'm back and I have tape on this piece and the other piece as well. So what I'll do is I will take this, lay it down, giving myself about a little more than 1/8 of an inch on my spacing. And I'll place that down. Flip this over, smooth it out. And I'm going to turn it so I can do the other side. Flip this, smooth all of that out. And now I can come back with my scissors and remove some of this excess. And now we're left with this, and we can begin to wrap this paper around the chipboard. But before we do that, because we've got an angled bag, that means that if I just fold it up, it wouldn't fold properly. So what I have to do is I have got to cut out some angles. And what I just did was I folded it up, and that gives me a little triangle point. And all I'm going to do is come up, not all the way to the chipboard, and just cut out a little triangle. And what that does is it gives me an opportunity to be able to fold my papers up and fold the bag up easily. So I'm going to do the same thing on this side. I'm using my scissors when I ordinarily use my finger X-Acto knife for this. So now what I can do is come back, and I am just going to take tape and line it. So now what I can do is take my paper and just kind of pull it around so that I can start to train it on where it needs to go. And I am going to miter my corners. Remember the tip that I showed you guys earlier that Francine Langlois gave to me about placing your corner pieces, and that way you don't have to worry about being exact on your miter cuts. I'll lift up the tape, and I'm going to go ahead and put the paper down. And I'm going to start with my middle piece and just pull it up. And then I can take this piece and just pull it up, getting it nice and tight. And then I'll do this piece. And then I'll turn it. And we'll do this side. And this striped paper comes in all colors at Hobby Lobby, and I absolutely love it. Do that middle. Get this work down. get this down. Bring this up, and you can see how pretty this is going to be when it's finished. I'm just going to use glue on this piece since it's going to be folded in and covered. So I'm just going to bring this up, bring it over, get it nice and even. And then I'll turn it around and do the same thing on this side. Okay, so we've got our bag up to this point. Now I'm going to flip it over because I want to go ahead and put on some decorative strips. And the way that I'm going to do this is I want the strips coming at an angle like this. So what I've done is I have 4 pieces that measure 1 by 8, 1 by 8.5, I'm sorry. And I have placed holes already so that I can make sure that my holes are pretty much even. And I have placed the holes every inch. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and glue this down. You can tape it, you can glue it. I am going to use glue on this part. And we are going to pretty up this tote. Just give it more of an authentic look. So now I'll take this and I'm just going to bring this up so that I can make sure I've got it the way that I want it. And I'm going to slide it down so that part of it extends over the bottom here, and I'll come back and I'll remove that. But then I'm going to come back and just smooth this out. This piece here I can just fold over at the top. I'm going to smooth it. And then I am going to turn this way so that I can do the same thing over here, and it's just easier for me to work with it like this. So I'm lining everything up. And now I will place my glue. And I'll show you how I decorate this bag on this side, and then I'll do the other side off camera. So I am just going to get this started so that it's in the right spot. Let me make sure that my sides are nice and even. I'm going to turn it to face me so that I'll know. I think I could move that over just a little. I'm good with that. Okay, so I'm going to smooth this down. And then I'm going to come back with my scissors and just snip off the ends here. Making sure I don't cut through the bag. And now I'm going to take some silver thumbtacks. These will be my accent pieces, and I'm just going to place them. And because I have pre-punched my holes, then I have a good indication of where I need to place my thumbtacks. And what I'm trying to do is keep the thumbtacks centered on this white paper. And I think the thumbtacks just add such prettiness and just make the bag more authentic. And for you guys who know about me making paper purses, I really do try to make them look as authentic as possible. For me, that's part of the joy in making them, is to try to take a purse and see if I can make it out of paper. Okay, so we've got all of these down. Then I'll turn this. I'm going to come back in and just slightly curve the tips facing away from the top of the bag. I'm not putting too much pressure on the tips because I don't want to break them. So now what I'll do is I'll come back with my hammer. I'm going to make a lot of noise. Try not to shake the table. And I'm just beating these down so that the points are going into that chipboard, because I don't want them poking up and sticking anyone. Okay, so there, we've got this all done. So what I'm going to do, because this is probably the most time-consuming part of this particular project, I am going to go ahead and do the other 3 off camera, since you guys have a good idea of what I was doing on this side. So let me go ahead and do the other 3 and I'll be back. Okay, so I have all of the thumbtacks in, and don't you guys think that this looks absolutely beautiful? This is going to be a gorgeous, gorgeous bag. So now what we need to do, since we have all of this done, we need to go ahead and add our thumbtacks for the feet. So let me grab 4 more thumbtacks. And I've already pre-punched the holes, so I'll go ahead and just tuck these into the holes. And then I can flip this over, and I will take these and just fold them in, starting from the top. I'm just going to curl the top. Go ahead and just beat these down, beating them down into the chipboard so that they don't poke. And then I'll turn it and do the same thing over here. So I'm going to grab it at the top and just twist it downward. And now I can come back with my hammer and just beat that point into the chipboard. So now we're at the point where we can put the sides on our bag. And what I'm going to use for the sides is heavyweight cardstock from the Paper Studio. And I love this cardstock because it is so heavy. I don't think they print the weight on here, but it is a very durable cardstock. So I am going to move this over, grab my scoreboard, and we are going to score this. Okay, so to make our side panels, the bottom of our bag is 4 inches wide. So we need a piece that measures 5 by 8.5, and we are going to score that at 1/2 inch on 3 sides. Okay, so then we need to fold and burnish our score lines. And And then we need to come back and just cut out the small square that's in the corner. Didn't quite get that straight. And let's do this one. Alrighty, so now we can take this bottom and place it on here. So what I'm going to do is I will be using hot glue for this, and I'm going to take my glue gun, run glue along the bottom of this piece, and then I'll just match it up with this here. And I'll bring it down and adjust it as I need to. So then I'll flip it and do the same thing on the other side. So I'm going to take my glue gun, add some glue, and then I will place this down and then come back and make any adjustments that I might need to make. Okay, so at this point what I want to do is go ahead and add a piece of what I'll be using for the liner to the inside so that I can just cover up the bottom and also cover up the thumbtacks. And this is the part where you'll have to just make adjustments to whatever measurements I provide in the description box, because you want to make sure that however you have cut and folded your bag, everything is going to fit fine. So now what I'll do is I'll come back and I'm simply going to add tape on these joints here. Don't want tape there. Then I can lift up my tape and place some glue on the back of my decorative piece. And I thought I'd go with this paper because I think it's just pretty and I wanted to have a pretty liner on the inside. I'm just going to give this a good gluing and place it down. Come back in with my bone folder and just get everything nice and stuck. And then I can lift this up and get that paper stuck down in that groove. And then I can work it over on this side just to make sure that when it folds, everything folds nice and neat. And there. Okay, so now we get to actually put this bag together. And here's how I'm going to do it so that you guys can see what I'm doing. I am going to run glue along this spine here, or this tab here, and then I'll connect it there. So let me just get my glue gun, run some glue, and then just match it up. And I'm going to take it, you won't be able to see this part, but I'm going to just take it, bring my fingers on the inside, and get my glue nice and smooth. And then I'll come across to this side and do the same thing. So I am going to place my glue, and I added my glue to this, and now I will take it, match it up. Let's see if I can get this back into the camera, and just smooth it down. Okay, so now we have what looks pretty much like a cake box. So all I'm going to do is take my glue and spread it along here. And I'll just bring this over, get that going on the inside. Try not to burn my hand. Okay, so now I'll come over and do the last one. So this is the tricky part. I am just going to place as much glue in as I can. And then I will put this down. Come back and wipe up some of that glue. Go on the inside and just smooth it down. Okay, so I was making the handles and putting them on, and I thought I had you guys on camera as I was doing it, but apparently I did not. So I have one of the handles already on the bag, and I think that it looks great. It's a rope handle, and I got the rope from the ribbon section of Hobby Lobby, and I really do like to use rope because it's very sturdy. And on the inside, this is how I've got it attached, and this ugliness here is all going to be covered. So let me show you how I made it. I've already got my second one made and ready to go, but I'm just going to show you on some scrap pieces of paper how to make these handles. So you'll need some rope, whatever size it is that you want to use, and then what I do is I untwist just a little bit of the bottom of the rope, and then I take a scrap piece of paper, I place some hot glue down, and then I get the rope smooth out in the hot glue, and then I just lay some more hot glue on top, a good amount of hot glue, more than you just saw me lay down, and then I sandwich the two. And that is how I make the handles. So I do the same thing on the other side. I just make a rope sandwich pretty much with hot glue. And that's how you get your handles. So once you've got your handles ready, and these are ready, I'm going to go ahead and place them on the inside of this bag. And the way that I'm going to do that is I am going to use wet glue. Now let me move this bag out of the way for just a second. And I'll be using wet glue to place it down because that'll give me a chance to move it around if I need to. And I'm being very generous with the wet glue because I want to make sure that my handles stay nice and stuck. So I'm placing it on the inside, just like that. And then what I want to do is I want to grab the handle of the other piece just to make sure that they're going to be the same length. And I'll move that one back. And I know that I need to place the tip of this paper even with this one over here to make sure that the handles are the same length. So now all I need to do is place some glue on this piece. And again, I'm going to be very, very generous with this glue. And then I'm just going to get it laid down. I'm going to pick it up just to make sure that it's the same same length. And then I'm just going to come back and smooth that down. And now we can put in our final liner pieces. And I'm using these pretty birds. The back side is pretty too, but I want to go with the birds. And the way that I need to make sure that this is going to fit, because this bag is cut at an angle, is I am going to take my scissors and just cut some of this paper. And the way that I'll do it is I will come from the bottom, and I'm just coming up to the top, and I'm cutting at an angle. The same way I did when I cut the chipboard. So I'm just kind of estimating on my cuts. And then I'll keep going back and checking it to see if it's going to fit on the inside without any bubbling on the sides, like this. So I can tell that I need to take off just a little bit. So I'm going to come back, remove just a little bit of that. I know it's going to fit now, so I am going to take my glue and just really glue this up. And I am really being very generous with my glue. So now I can take it and I can lay it down on the inside, smooth it down, and I'll come back and just start working the glue into the paper until I have it nice and stuck. And so there we have it, guys. I think that this bag is absolutely gorgeous. It's very large, so it's hard for me to hold it in camera so that you can see it. But when I lay it down, at least you get, you know, this look of it. It is a very, very pretty bag. And it's a very big bag. I hope that you guys have enjoyed this tutorial. And if you have, please hit the like button. And I would love to have your comments listed below. And if you are not a subscriber to my channel, I would also love to have you subscribe. You guys have a great day. Bye.